Well. Here we are. We find ourselves in the midst of some controversy as open workouts transpired a few minutes ago. Kamaru Usman appeared to pop either a knee or another joint while he was taking down Justin Gaethje, and some might say that is just noise. That's just noise. Focus on the process, trust the process here, but it's all over social media right now. Let's see what ends up happening because this literally just happened within the past few hours. And word has been spreading. We are waiting for confirmation of any time, any type of injury. Apparently, betting lines were taken down and now they're back up. I just checked, and lines are up as we speak. Granted, they are moving. And we have Khamzat Chimaev taking on Kamaru Usman. That's who we're speaking about right now. And we have a bunch of people tuning in today. I don't necessarily need the coffee, folks. We've got a lot of drama out there right now, a lot of intensity. The stakes are high, emotions run deep, and opinions vary. And you saw folks shooting down the prospects of a potential injury, that it's nothing. Look away. But we'll see. Of course, Kamaru Usman will need to get cleared medically prior to entering the cage. And we've seen folks like TJ Dillashaw, who was able to skate by, make it into the octagon with a massive shoulder injury that has now caused his retirement, etc. So Kamaru Usman taking this fight on short notice against Khamzat Chimaev. Chimaev, the much younger fighter who he hasn't been tested to the level of Usman. Not long ago, folks were proclaiming him to be the greatest fighter of all time. Go look up and down the timeline, and Twitter, etc. Websites have posted Usman not only the greatest welterweight of all time, but greatest fighter of all time, pound for pound, etc. Usman, 36 years of age, coming off of two brutal losses. One where he was doing well and got head kicked. And we've seen Usman wobbled in a number of fights. Even Gilbert Burns put him on wobbly legs. We've seen it happen in other fights. He's a grinder, not necessarily a person who's going to submit his opponents. He had 5 rounds to do that against Jorge Masvidal. Wasn't able to do that. Granted, he did land that powerful punch on Usman, on Jorge Masvidal. I believe that was in Florida, and Usman did a number out there. So he does have some power to speak of, Usman, when he sits down on his punches. But is he going to stay there in the pocket here with Khamzat Chimaev? I think that could be a recipe for disaster against a Chimaev who had been preparing for Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa had to pull out due to that elbow injury. We saw social media how legitimate that injury is. He's getting dressing changes done, incision and drainage happening on the timeline there. And Chimaev's coming into this fight with a significant height advantage. Granted, he is giving up an inch of reach here to Usman. So Usman has an inch reach advantage. And look at these odds. Now, at the time I created the graphics here, Chimaev was minus 290. Since the injury news that broke, the potential for an injury, the odds have changed. Chimaev now has been blown out to minus 298 if you currently are looking at certain websites. And how did this happen? You watch Usman in the open workouts. He is walking around on a mat that has much more cushion than a traditional wrestling mat, and he's picking up Justin Gaethje and landing a takedown on him. And what happens? You see in the video, it appears as though Kamaru Usman's knee may have buckled, and he says he heard something pop. I believe that was what's been spreading throughout the Twitterverse now. Are folks going to run with this narrative now that Usman is potentially injured? I mean, look at the betting line before this even happened. Chimaev was a massive favorite. So what could potentially happen to this line? You have the inside the distance line for Chimaev currently hovering around evens, and Usman, he is going to have to really put in some serious work here when he faces off against Chimaev. Chimaev, I know this isn't Reese McKee out there, and it's not like he's facing Gerald Mearshart. This is the former welterweight champion of the world who defended his belt a few times. Kamaru Usman, dangerous wrestler. We know about his history in Nebraska and other places around the world where he had been able to successfully implement his wrestling. Loves to grind, and you have to wonder why Usman took this fight. And I'll tell you why. Not only was it short notice up at 185 pounds, but also look at the champion we have right now at middleweight. You have Sean Strickland. He is defending the belt, and Kamaru Usman has victories over Sean Strickland. So that's something that he wants to he sees that as a clear path to the belt. And I believe Dana White may have come out and said that the winner of this fight, Khamzat Chimaev against Kamaru Usman, will get a title shot. So let's hold up and wait on this breaking news. Hopefully this fight ends up continuing on. But in the meantime, as far as what will transpire inside of the octagon on Saturday at UFC 294, who's going to take the center of the octagon? I think we'll likely see Chimaev take the center of the octagon. Now, Usman isn't necessarily used to that. Usman typically will look for his takedowns. And man, I think that Chimaev is going to be the aggressor in this matchup. And a lot of folks are going to be surprised by the physicality of Chimaev here, especially up at middleweight. Someone who's spent an entire year getting acclimated to the 185-pound division. I know he's competed there before, but folks say that there's value on Usman right now at plus 235. I think that they may be mistaken here. I might be wrong. I've been wrong before in the past, but Chimaev, I think that what will play out here is Chimaev coming out aggressive and just laying on the gas pedal and not stopping until Usman is out of there. There's a couple of issues here when you look at the fight footage and you watch Chimaev. Granted, this fight happened when he was 27 years old and it was down at 170 pounds, but you watch the way he came out against Gilbert Burns. He struggled to land the takedowns, and part of the reason he may have avoided trying to go to the ground with Burns right off the bat was Gilbert Burns is a highly credentialed black belt, and Usman doesn't pose a threat as far as the submission game goes. We haven't seen much of that, and Chimaev was laying the lumber on Gilbert Burns, and he was landing some heavy shots. Almost finished the fight at the end of the first round. You saw Gilbert Burns bleeding, got up, hung in there. Nothing landed directly on the button of Gilbert Burns other than that one shot that dropped him. But I have concerns for Usman's chin in this spot. I have concerns for Usman's limbs and his consciousness here. I also have concerns about the submission defense for Usman here. I think that Chimaev is the rightful favorite, and come in here, prove me wrong. Let's see what happens. I know it's plus 235 on Usman. I see folks going out of the woodwork to lay multiple units on Kamaru Usman. I think that might be a dangerous spot, but hey, you know what? He's a former champion. He's somebody who has walked the walk. He's talked the talk, and the guy is 20-3. He has only 3 professional losses in his career, and you look at one of them where he was winning the majority of the fight, the first Leon Edwards fight. He was winning that. I mean, the second Leon Edwards fight where he got knocked out, he was winning the majority of that fight and then got caught via head kick. But I know the knees have been an issue. This is a a guy who's getting up there in age, and he's traditionally a welterweight. So a lot of that advantage that he's had down at 170 pounds, is he going to have that here against Chimaev, who has competed many times at welterweight also, but the natural physique of Chimaev, I think it lends itself to being a 185-pound fighter. Wait until these guys weigh in, and you'll see on them on the scale what each fighter will look like. I know that Usman, he may look solid up at 185 pounds. He did say that he likes to cut a little weight in the lead up to fights, and he will do so in this situation also. But Khamzat Chimaev is the taller fighter, the fighter who spent a year getting prepared for this opportunity. He has a full camp behind him, and I think he's going to come out guns blazing and really put it on Usman and take him out of there. So the pick is going to be Khamzat Chimaev, and I believe that he does get this done inside the distance. It's going to be a hell of a fight. I hope it continues on. I hope it continues on. I know it's only Wednesday, and the open workouts, what we saw took place there. Everyone on social media is clamoring about what just happened, and folks are trying to pacify this situation as well. So it may end up just being noise. But until then, let's find out. Let's find out. So this is what it's all about, folks. This is why we do what we do. And fantastic matchups are headed our way each and every weekend. So let's continue this journey. Thank you for tuning in. If you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel and also liking the video, I'll be continuing to put out these videos throughout the course of the rest of the week and into the future. So thanks, everybody. Go get what's yours, and let's do this. Let's go.